Hello, everybody, and hello, Maddie. Welcome to Built to Scale. Doesn't look like you're out on a rooftop in New York this week with a red wine.
But you have kept your colour from Hawaii, so you're looking great, Scotty. I'm back in Austin. I'm glad to be back here, and one of the things that I like the best is out of my office just here, I've got this little view, and check this little guy out. What is that? Little squirrel just on the tree checking out what's happening with the Built to Scale pod. So something you don't get in Oz, squirrels everywhere. But glad to be back. How was the flight back from Hawaii? Was it as eventful as the flight there?
I'll get into that, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. Are you a squirrel toucher? Is it?
I'm trying to understand if that has a meaning or if you mean that literally.
I mean it literally, because when I was in New York, and I get along overwhelmingly well with animals and kids. I don't know what it is, but my wife's like, what is going on here? So I was in New York and all these squirrels just started following me, right? And it was sort of like out of a Disney film type thing. So in the end, I sort of like lay down and like start just playing with these squirrels. Send a photo to like a couple of US guys I know and they're like, mate, what are you doing? They got like rabies. Don't touch the squirrels.
Yeah, they're like pests. Mate, I know what my next nano banana prompt is going to be. That's for sure. It's funny you say that, because I don't think I mentioned this after our LA pod that we did after the big night out in Austin. But to the audience, I did witness firsthand that Scotty does have a way with the kids. You managed to settle my 18-month-old son from having a tantrum, taking him out the front. I think he found a little elephant watering can or something that you came back with. So I've seen it firsthand, and it doesn't surprise me that you also have a way with the squirrels.
He's well, your son really took to the Zinfandel. I think that's what out of that watering can.
Right. That's what,
there's a
parenting tips 101.
But in terms of sort of getting along with kids, I'd say that on the flight back, which apparently was against the winds, Qantas, no internet again, no kids being sick, but I was still very annoyed. Well, what do you just do with 12 hours without internet? So I don't know if there's any models that I could have downloaded and been talking to AI, but I was just raw dogging it with Apple Notes, trying to do business strategy. And it was like going back to the a different age, having to actually type in all of your own strategy, and I couldn't argue with anyone. That was annoying. No AI to argue with. So, but no, we got through the flight, mate. We're back, and now that we are back, it's been good to have another great week of memes. And this week we've seen. Remember when $100 billion in investment used to be the biggest thing in the news for 6 months, and now it's it's the amount of money a country would spend on its defense for the next 50 years. Now it's OpenAI, Oracle, and Nvidia are all sending it to each other, and it's got that sort of feeling. We've got a raunchy photo of a cartoon elephant that's looking after itself and a power board that's plugged into itself. What is going on here? What are all these companies just? Are they actual investments at this point?
It's hard to know, isn't it? When you're not in that inner circle, but the OpenAI, Oracle, Nvidia virtuous cycle of money getting sent around, it is really difficult to understand, because these things don't typically happen in cycles. They typically are top down or bottom up. I haven't dug too deep into what is actually going on. I'm sure Grok could give us a pretty good explanation of the why, but it's probably just emblematic of the times we're in there is so much opportunity in the AI race, and there's also so much capital in it that, like you say, investing $100 billion is like, it probably doesn't even require to go to a board meeting. It's like someone's just signing off on it, and yeah, we'll do that. So it's a pretty wild time to be alive, but I think it's really just emblematic of how big the opportunity is and how much capital has gone into this race. And we can talk about this later, but just as, I guess, the consumers, how can we maximize this opportunity? Because it's not going to be subsidized like this forever.
But one of the weird things is, and this is the king, Jensen, when he invests, so Nvidia's done some investments lately. The moment they invest, that stock of that company goes up by 30 or 40% because everyone follows him in, like Warren Buffett. Like everyone's just waiting to see what Nvidia does. So there's an immediate 30% win on the 10 billion or the 100 billion. So he invested in Intel this week, and then Intel's stock went up 30%. So you already got a 30% return on your money, and then that's your then customer. So that company goes up by 30%. They finally find some more capex room. They spend it with Nvidia, who then goes and places another bit, and it's almost like they're going, "We would like you as a customer, so we'll buy you. We'll buy some of you. Your share price will go up. You'll have more money to spend with us." And it's, I don't know, this could be, he might have like conquered capitalism. Like this could be the end game, like the end of an Avengers movie where he's got all the rings on and he's like Thanos, and it's just, in the end, it's just Jensen.
Yeah, maybe he has. Maybe once you get to a certain level of power, you can just topple it. He's figured it out. I guess it's similar to Elon and him buying, I think, $1 billion of Tesla shares and then it going up by whatever percent. Like he invests $1 billion and his net worth goes up, I don't know, 50 or whatever it was. It's like that's a pretty good arbitrage.
It's just really smart people just leveraging, just doing very smart things. I mean, looking back on it, you might say, there might be some left-wing doco that's like, look at how corrupt this all is. And, after 50% of the country don't even have this much money. And within one move, they've self-fulfilled all this stuff. But capitalism is where people follow to make money. So I just think the Kings are doing it well. We're in the age of, like, we've had different ages of intelligence of like scientists like Newton and Einstein and stuff. I feel like we're in like the peak age of capitalism, and these guys are just, they're at the top of their game. So very good to watch. And speaking of being in a new age, the great little one I saw this week was a guy who said, "My new employee revealed he used AI to negotiate his salary with me. I then revealed to him that I used AI to negotiate back." I reckon this is going to become really commonplace where, like, for instance, I'm reading some job offers and I know they're written by AI, so I refuse to read them. I just put them into ChatGPT, which knows my sort of tone of voice and thinking, and say, rank these in order for me. So it's happening.
Yeah, it's happening. And it goes back to valuing the human relationship. I think like that's why coming into the office and how you dress and how you present yourself with no phone, unless you're wearing one of Cluely's invisible AI devices, however F that works, or Elon's Neuralink, Neuralink in the back of your head, or Mark's Meta glasses. I think we're going to go back to really wanting to see someone's intelligence without the AI enablement, knowing that they can then use it in the job. I think we're going to go back to valuing that.
You do want a baseline intelligence, don't you? I actually think it's going to be like, how when someone sits down and writes a birthday card for someone, it's like, oh, they've actually made the effort to write something down, a dying art, because it's a special occasion. I think that job interviews, applications, even pitch decks, customizing them to someone and making them clear that they were written by a human, I think is actually a really nice touch. I think we're going to see people considered there.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story quickly on that one. I won't reveal who the company is, but I signed up to a company. I got a handwritten letter from them, and I was like, "You've got a lot of customers. I don't think this is handwritten." Anyway, I texted the founder, and how they've done it is they've actually jerry-rigged a 3D printer. They've put a pen onto the 3D printer, and then have got an AI model that can custom write it and make it look handwritten and a bit messy, and actually uses real ink. And they've built that service themselves to do handwritten notes at scale. How funny is that?
It makes you think, doesn't it, that if, say, you're LeBron James and you did that for signing autographs, and just like an agent, and you could have 5 of them in your home and you could just punch out on top of posters, is it still you? Like, have you just scaled yourself?
Yeah. Or the that company that we talked about where the fans, you can buy a video from someone. Cameo is the company, and there's one specifically for sports stars. What does it do to the economics of it if you can put your AI model there instead? Would someone still buy it? Can you sell the rights to that platform to put a version of yourself on there, and people can create anything of you? You can say whatever you like. And what does it do to the ethical side? Are you allowed to go and get
You set up your own
celebrity to
parameters.
say, yeah, you said you exactly, yeah.
Set your own guardrails.
Yeah. I will not talk about this. Yeah, it's interesting.
I think my guardrails would be a bit loose. People would be able to do what they want. They wouldn't be able to say anything worse.
I'm surprised you know what a guardrail is, Scotty.
You keeping me in line for this show. Now, speaking of, we've got a couple of thanks for watchings from some heavy hitters from our recent shows. And the first one are the boys over at TBPN, who are doing an amazing job, really changing what modern media and technology news looks like. But they've, a couple of weeks after we've been running the very popular Top 5 segment, they've come out and done it themselves. So
I know.
What do they usually do? They usually blow a horn or something on their show when they feel like someone's copying them.
Yeah. So we did invent the concept of a top 5, obviously. So I think what we should do, though, considering they're watching, we should get them on. They would be great guests to have, and just to talk about the future of media. So maybe this is going to be a shout out to the TBPN boys. We know you're watching. Feel free to come on anytime.
Look, they've got something we want, which is distribution, and we've got something they want, which is obviously creative ideas. So there's plenty. It's a win-win. It's an Nvidia and OpenAI and Oracle deal. It's an elephant looking after itself. Another thanks for watching, and one of the all-time heavy hitters, maybe the biggest product company in the world ever, Apple. Only 2 colors available on the iPhone, and there's the built-to-scale papaya, also known as the McLaren papaya orange, and then this sort of blue hue and I'm representing both today. I've got the built-to-scale background and the blue foreground, and am I right in saying that? So thanks for watching to them for going with built-to-scale orange as your new powerful color, but am I right in saying that you might have a presentation for us today?
Yeah, your rant or appreciation or turnaround of the year for Apple a couple of weeks ago, it got me all excited, and I visited the Apple store last night. I've picked myself up the iPhone 17 Pro. I know that you're disappointed that I didn't go with the built-to-scale papaya, but we need to have a bit of contrast in this show, so I'll let you buy that one. I was thinking
it's too flashy for you.
Do it.
It's too flashy.
It's too flashy. So quick unboxing. We can see here the 3 cameras on the back. Pretty clunky. I'm not going to do a full unboxing. That'd be boring as shit. But super heavy, keen to get into it. The thing that I did want to mention, Scotty, is I'm surprised you didn't notice it. If you're looking at my ears, I've got my AirPods in, but they're not the AirPods 2. They are the AirPods number 3.
Oh,
so
wow. Okay.
I haven't trialed out the functionality yet.
Ni hao.
But
ni hao.
We didn't plan this, but I was gonna ask you on the spot, could you speak a little bit of Chinese to me and I'll respond. But we're obviously spending too much time together.
That is exciting, though. I mean, next week I'm hoping to have the Meta ARs on, and we can just really bring this pod forward.
You're gonna be speaking to me in Italian. I'll be responding in Chinese, and we'll have it transcribed in Arabic or something like that. But it's
that'll solve the distribution problem.
Yeah, and it's very, very diverse as well. But I think keen to try it out. I am really looking forward to getting back to Australia in about a month's time, sitting down at the dinner table, waiting until the conversation changes to Shanghainese, quickly turning my AirPods on and just seeing what is talked about me at the dinner table. Probably not much, to be honest, but this is my insecurities getting the best of me. But I will have some reporting back to do on if the iPhone 17 is worth it, the AirPods 3, how they are. Honestly, just the fact that it's got better battery life was almost enough to get me over the line. So I don't know what that says about me and my relationship with Apple.
I think it's everyone's relationship of Apple, which is, although we've beaten the living hell out of them, we all have still been, lovers of this company for over a decade, or for much longer for some people, but we all want them to do well. we're already locked into the ecosystem. So you're already like, it's like barracking for a football team. We're just at the bottom of the ladder, it feels like. But no, so we had a staff member buy the Google phone, and he said it's been a massive disappointment in terms of the time it takes for everything to do. And so I think, Apple, I'm really interested in the iPhone Air to see like how much thinner. I touched one yesterday, and it seemed pretty light and cool, but I'm wondering about how much compute performance or battery or whatever you lose for having it a bit thinner. But yeah,
I'm in the point with phones where I less care about the design, the weight of them, like whatever. They're all pretty similar. I want good battery. I want it to be fast. I want a good camera, but it doesn't really need to be the best. And I desperately want to run those local AI models. So there is an app that you can download that will run one of Apple's models locally. I haven't tested it, but apparently on the new chips, I think this has got like a A19 in it or something, one of Apple's local chips. Apparently it has been designed to work really well on running LLMs. So untested yet, but I will do that. And yeah, I'll get back to you on whether you can fight with the LLMs on a Qantas flight without Wi-Fi. Hopefully that'll become a reality soon.
Mate, so that was one of the questions I had for you. So I was looking at the new Pro, and it's got up to 2 terabytes of storage or whatever. What is that the kind of thing? What's getting tested running a local model? So you've got some of these larger models like that can run locally. What do you need in your computer? In your phone to be able to run them? Like, are you concentrating on the memory or on the storage?
Yeah, it's the memory. So the storage shouldn't be the problem. Like, yeah, sure, if you could get a really big model and you could a terabyte model and put it on your phone if you had a couple of terabytes. But honestly, I just went for the 256 gig. You can still run decent size models on that. It's about the performance on it and the inference. So it's the memory, and that's what you don't get to choose. You don't get to upgrade your memory inside of the iPhone. You just have to get the newer one. You get the better chip with more RAM in it.
So what's the use case? Because it's an extra $1,000 US to go to the like from 256 gig up to 2 terabyte of storage. You're spending an extra $1,000 US on that. What's the use case for that? Because if you've got cloud, why would you want to spend to have all that local storage?
That's all it is. It's if you want to try and reduce your cloud bill. But realistically, I don't know about you, I can't get off my cloud bills. I can't get off my photos. There's terabytes of data in there, and I'm not going to go through and try and clean it up and delete old photos. It's just worth the $20 a month for whatever it is. So I actually don't see a huge benefit of going for more storage on your devices, because cloud still has a place. And look, I'm happy to be fact checked on this. Maybe there are certain models that are terabytes big and you need that storage. So I can do a little deep dive on that. But honestly, I think it's more about the RAM and the memory.
Okay, cool, good. That was a good deep dive on the new iPhone. I think I'm going to join you. There was only one available in Victoria at Knife Point, High Point shopping centre. So, and I'm like, I'm not going north of like Lonsdale Street in Melbourne to go get a phone. They'll come to the south.
Can you stop alienating our viewership? We might have a few above fucking Lonsdale. Jesus.
That's Sydney Road. I'm sure there's no one listening past Sydney Road. Anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, just it's the traffic. It's nothing else. It's the traffic. Let's get stuck into some AI news. Interesting one for this week. Brings up there's a lot of wearables coming out that I think are looking at attacking the iPhone. Speaking of the iPhone, we're going to go, let's just talk about, I suppose, we went early last week with the pre-release of the Meta Ray-Bans, and then basically as soon as we launched the show for the week, it took over the news for 2 to 3 days. I thought it was a really impressive presentation. People were getting stuck into Zuck because something didn't go exactly well, but it's pretty clear that once again, he's bought a share in Ray-Ban. They're the most popular. They've got a monopoly on sunglasses. They're stylish. They're affordable. They've got tech, pumped into them. It seems to me like just a winner out of the gate. And you pair that with things like this Oura ring announcement, raising 900 mil for a $10 billion valuation. They sold 3 million rings last year, $1 billion of revenue already. People are going outside of the Apple ecosystem for their wearables and their devices, and capturing their data. What do you think? Which way are we heading in the space, and who are the main players, and what are the type of investments you're going to make?
Yeah, I think the main differentiation here is, do you want to stick with your current setup? Like, are you an Apple fanboy that's saying, I'm always going to have my Apple Watch because I use it for multiple things, and therefore I want as much plugged into that as possible. So for me, I wear my wedding ring and that's it. I don't want this big clunky ring on my finger. I've never wanted that. So if I can get similar data from my Apple Watch that I actually use for certain other things, then maybe that's the play. Similar with these AirPods, I can be at the gym now without the Apple Watch on because I don't have whatever reason, and it can do the heart rate sensor through them. So I think that's one play. It's like trying to stick within the ecosystem of things that are already functional for you to use, and getting the data from that, so you don't have to have all these bits and pieces on you. Or do you want to go like somewhat minimalist and have these small devices on you that don't really provide much function other than some tracking? So one of them would be the Hoop or the Whoop band. Like, that's just like a little band that you wear. It doesn't do anything but your heart rate and the other things that it measures. Or the Oura ring. Meta glasses are an interesting one. I think glasses are a really smart one because a lot of people wear them anyway. And the best thing about glasses is where you're looking with your head is the most accurate way of picking up what a human is doing. And so if you can get something on top of your head to take in input from video, that makes a lot of sense. And you also, now that they've got the augmented reality on it, you don't have to be plugged into your brain to get information without having a screen on you. So I think that they're actually a really interesting in-between of those two things, where glasses are already something that people wear, especially sunglasses. So I think it's kind of like a spectrum of how intrusive is it versus the existing ecosystem that you're working with. And probably, I don't think it's going to be a winner takes all here. It's going to be a big competitive market. Everyone's going to be doing it. It's going to be a given that these big companies kind of have to have wearables as part of it. So yeah, I know that's not very like opinionated answer, but a bit of context on it.
Yeah, I think the meta play is enormous in terms of glasses are just such a, because you can get prescription ones as well. There's such a, like Google was 10 years early on this product. It's a great example of, the uncanny valley and just sometimes just being early when society's not ready. But society's now ready for this. And it's happening now whether society wants it or not. And I think just the way they've structured up, the fact that they've already got all of our data, and they're not recreating the architecture of the glass. It's like the humanoid robot. Like, we've built a world around this. Let's do it. Sunglasses architecture has been resolved, or glasses architecture. Now you just need to plug in the intelligence. So they've just done so well there. Because you imagine if Mark Zuckerberg had to design an AR glass, what it would look like. So really intelligent. I'm going to get it. The other thing I think is really cool is we've spoken about the fact that it's got this business use of capturing data and using it in the workplace. But then the personal use side of it around, it's such a natural way. I want to talk to my model and I want it displayed without having to hold a phone. I'm sick of holding a phone. So if I can get some display and conversational voice mode going through a set of glasses, that would be amazing. And the other one I think is really cool is they're doing it with Oakley, because Ray-Ban own Oakley as well, around exercise. You don't want to take your phone on a run, but like having an AI model augmented on your Oakleys as you're going for a run, talking to you about your current, it's going to be able to pick up your heart rate. It's going to be able to, you might be able to watch like a Formula One car, like a shadow of yourself on the best lap, type thing where you're sort of pushing yourself. And I just think there's so many use cases for that. So I think that's really, I think it's the bridge from the phone to the deviceless future. And speaking of deviceless future, I mean, Peter Diamandis has said, I'm serious when I say that your future family doctor may be your mirror, your toilet, or your bed. So I don't think when I'm forecasting out what we're doing at Elysium, we're looking at a deviceless future where the home is the device. So it has to be, and our moat is the fact that you have to build a home with that architecture in mind. All the other houses that are already built are built either in the 1900s, that have, then you have to have all these devices running around, and all these device companies are planning on you not building things into your home. They're planning on you having a Samsung ball roll around the house that then can't get up your stairs, or a bunch of iPads and, stupid TVs and things like that. So I just think it's a really interesting pathway forward. Neuralink are obviously in the space as well, but around this, people are going to get really picky about the device pathway they're going on. Am I just going to stick to my phone, add my watch, and then wait till it's gone? Or am I going to the glasses? And I think long term, though, we're going to look back at holding something in our hand as pretty archaic. Maybe our kids in their teenage years will be going, oh, I used to just carry this thing around with you everywhere and stare at it nonstop, So yeah, really interesting space. What are your thoughts on where it's like what's the 10 year look here?
Yeah. I think that there's going to be something around taste coming back in. I think people are going to lean more into fashion and differentiating and just assuming that, the tech is somewhere. It's hidden away. The tech isn't the feature, but I don't think that we're all going to become like. It is interesting seeing everyone wear the same Apple Watch. Like, it's a pretty dry, like, kind of reminds you of a kind of Soviet past where everyone's doing the same thing. Like, it would be cool if we can still have differentiation. You can go and get that beautiful watch that you like, and it just has the tech inside of it. And an interesting business model will be, rather than Meta just say partnering with the glasses companies to put it in, I wonder if they will open source all of that and have ways of using their platform and their tech to augment other brands and getting that in. Like, they become almost like the Jensen of the personal devices. So that could be really interesting, but I think it's definitely going the way you're talking about, less intrusive, much better means of interacting with technology, but without losing, or maybe we go back to having more taste and style. That's like what people want, over like, oh, I've just got this Apple Watch on my wrist that everyone else has got the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's like digital minimalism. Like, there's a sophistication in minimalism, and I think it's, how do I get all the tech without it being something I'm carrying with me or I'm adding to my outfit? Like, it's embedded in what I would have worn anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I think like AirPods have done so well. Like, even though when they first were announced, people were like, those things look fucking stupid. But they've become so normal now. They are so minimalist. It's the best way to get sound in and to talk to someone with that's minimal. Like, we in the office, in our sales team, we still wear the headsets with the microphone that's there because it's so close to your mouth, and it gets rid of the background noise. But with the way AI is going, I actually think the AirPods are going to get better and better. They might actually become better than these old school companies that have got the headsets with the boom arm on them. So yeah, I agree with the minimalism side. Without derailing too much, because we've got a lot to get through, I would love a 2-minute deep dive from you on your comments around the home and what it actually means. Like, what are you having to put into the home to make it AI native and tech native? Is this about the electricals and the access to the internet everywhere? Like, how are you thinking about that, and how does that differentiate it from other homes that are getting built at the moment?
So it needs a workstation, an on-premise edge AI workstation. So whether that's like an Nvidia workstation or something like that. So that's like, so your home's got an enormous amount of compute built on site. Now, we're talking about people who are going to be spending $10 million plus on the home. And what's interesting at the moment, you spend that and you get no intelligence with that. So if you've got a $50,000 computer, whether you can upgrade the software models running through it every month, that's not a big expense. If I told it to a client, they'll probably go, I don't know if I want to spend that. But the idea of this is the future of living autonomous homes. It's just a part of the house. I think what's unique about that, and then you can imagine every every copper wire then running through the house is like an edge node or an IoT sensor to that to make the home the actual device. So where you're going to be controlling lighting, air conditioning, all the standard things, but then also your home's going to be wanting to, like we were talking before the show about like going into a hotel, it's going to know who's coming in. You're going to have your face scanned as you enter, and then it's going to imagine there shouldn't be lights on in a room that you're not using. So when you walk into a room, but it should also start to know what you want out of that next 2 hours at home. So it should be able to have other sensors that are picking up your biometrics and things like that, and it could recommend to go out to the sauna and have it prepare the sauna. So the home's completely interlinked into the walls. And what's interesting around the architecture of a home is once you are building an autonomous home, and I think we've spoken about this before, what changes? So the laundry doesn't need to be in a well-lit room. The back kitchen doesn't need to satisfy how, you or your wife likes to get ingredients. You can have a real engine room where all the chores are done, and then now you create more spaces for new types of technology. So why can't you have a room that brings the family together where the walls can actually change and move around depending on what you want to do? So if you guys want to play like a virtual board game, or you want to have a karaoke night, or you want to sit down and watch a movie, or you want to have like an inside-outside setting or whatever, there's some really exciting things that you can start to think about at home when you stop using all these spaces on all these like working areas and start leaning into the future of what's the new architecture, what's possible. You're bound only by physics. And what the future of living in a house that's autonomous looks like. So yeah, look, we're exploring that in a large way, and it's this thing of like you've got to throw all of your so you keep all of your IP and the domain expertise you've built over however long you've been doing your role in any industry. Then you have to put yourself 20 years in the future, and then you start your strategy from there. And it usually means a brand new architecture. So yeah, that's the space we're in at the moment.
I'm glad I asked the question. That's fascinating. And I think just to add one comment from my perspective, I think it's easy enough for people to say, oh, I don't need that though. I don't need that. But once you experience it, or once other people have it, I think it's very hard to not have. For example, I've got a Tesla now, and just the little things it does, like being able to cool the car, which is important in the hot Austin heat before you get in, by not having to have keys, it just locks and unlocks depending on whether you're close to it. I went back to driving a rental car when I was traveling for work, and it's like going back into the dark ages. And once you've got something, you don't want to lose it. And so I think what you're talking about there, it's the kind of thing that people might go, oh, do I really need that? But then once you've got it, you wouldn't want to go back.
Yeah, no, and the reason I think it's so important is home is where you're going to spend minimum 30-50% of your life. And at the moment, we leave the home, get involved in all this traffic and all of this logistics in our life to go to somewhere to do something. And I think that in the future, there's a lot of stuff we can do at home. There's a lot of really cool activity that can be done inside the home. So it's it's an exciting space. And like you said, no one, the first time if you had said to my dad, oh, you're going to have a phone in your pocket nonstop 20 years ago, he'd be like, why would I want people to be able to call me wherever I am? That would have been his first thing. So yeah, I'm prepared to go through that next 5 years of, do we really want this? I was about to tell you someone else though, who's absolutely legendary and looking ahead and making big bets and just not listening to the crowd and doing whatever he wants, is your man, Toby Lutke. And he's given me some CEO guilt this week by saying he's been running a keylogger and auto screenshotting his computer every 10 minutes for the last 15 years. My first thought was there are levels to this game.
Yeah.
What do you think here?
Yeah, it's some people are on a different level as far as like the time frame on which they look at things. And Toby is, and so for those listening who are new to listening, Toby Lucky, who we're referring to, is the owner of Shopify, absolute powerhouse in the e-commerce software space. I think they power like half the internet or something crazy when it comes to e-commerce stores. But Toby is very famous for that long-term thinking. He wants to build 1,000-year company, and that's how he makes decisions. And he's not caught up in the day-to-day of, the ups and downs of what's happening right now. I think he still has the mentality that you have to live every day or work every day like it's the last, but have that long-term view. And so for him, 15 years to go to say, hey, wouldn't it be interesting for me to have a data set on how my work has evolved over 15 years, because I know I'm going to be doing similar things and I'm going to want that data. I don't know about you, I'm jealous of that, like to understand what has gone on, to put all of that into a model and query it and see what's happening. Like it's wild.
It's really interesting. And I suppose we can't do much about the past, but you can do a lot about now and moving forward. And it just makes you think, what are we not doing now in the age of agents and where we're going? What are we currently not doing as CEOs to put ourselves in the best position that we might look back in 6 months ago and go, why didn't we? It was obvious. Why didn't I do it?
Yeah.
And I think, the best CEOs make you feel that way when you read something new about them. And I think we were going to go through it a bit lower, but we can probably just talk on it now, is in this age of agents, what's the best next move that we need to commit to, I suppose, explore what this looks like and how it's going to affect our company? Because what I think is interesting is, for a brand new company, there's a real opportunity now to just be agent first, AI native, agent first, tackle a workflow, tackle an industry, and do it for a lot less. You and I would be almost considered incumbents now with companies that are 3 years old, and saying, so what are we doing? I mean, we're not in S&P 500. We have 3,000 employees. This is going to be the hardest thing ever to change. But we are in, we've been building this thing without agents for this long, but this technology's here. We've spoken about, do we have someone come in and start automating your stuff on site and have one person? Or is it more like we grab some of the young whippets who aren't necessarily senior people and say to them, well, you understand our workflows, go get some agents running separately and report back and come back to us, and we might plug that in down the track? Or what's the balance here?
I think everyone needs to be bought into it. If people are gun shy of AI or are in the mindset of AI is going to replace me and are therefore refraining from leaning into the conversation, like we've talked about, say unions or the port authorities that are banning any technology, like it's obviously not going to work. So everyone needs to be bought in at number one. When it comes to implementing, I'm probably less of the opinion that everyone needs to be an expert in AI. I think some people sort of just need to be given the tools and need to be guided as to how you should work alongside it in the best way. And that's where we're going to rely on a core group of people to set up, to know what the tools are. We're hiring literally at the moment. We've got a job ad live for an AI operations lead. And the kind of person that we're looking for is actually not someone who's from a super technical background. We're looking for someone who has gone out and automated a bunch of their life, has done a bunch of side projects, knows all of the tools out there, is in every deepest, darkest Reddit thread on what's happening with AI and tools, and just knows all of this, can understand systems, and can come into our business and go, okay, from a first principles look, at knowing nothing about construction and knowing nothing about a SaaS business, why are you doing that? Why is that person doing this thing? I've got a tool that can help them do that 10x faster. So I think you want those core people that can help do that. But everyone needs to be bought in, right? Like if that person is in just telling people what to do and people are refraining from the conversation, then that's not going to work.
Without getting too meta on it, what's stopping you from doing that with a model? So if you were to record everyone's screens for a day and put that into ChatGPT and say, analyze our workflows, criticize them, and tell us how we can automate them, What do you think is the kind of response you're going to get to that?
Yeah, I think it's almost like a ethical or philosophical question, right? Because the technology is there. Like we already know that Google Gemini has access to computer. ChatGPT does now as well. I don't know if you've realized this, but if you use ChatGPT on the Mac app, and you give it the right permissions, as you're starting to write a prompt, it will say, hey, I see you've got a document open in Notion. Would you like me to work with that document? Or I've got this, you're in a certain web browser page. Would you like me to use the information from that? So this can kind of already happen. We know the tech is there. So I would say it's not even that meta. It's just a good idea to do to get this information. It's more, I think your question around how is a team going to respond to that? I would hope the answer would be, yeah, that's cool, because my work should be open out in the public anyway. And I want this to be analyzed because I want to know where I could be more efficient. As long as people are not too insecure about the fact that they can continue to deliver value and that the business actually wants to grow. If you're in a business, there's literally like an old school business that's putting out some healthy dividends, and maybe the founders of the business are quite happy, maybe you'd be a bit worried, because if they could get an extra bit of efficiency and cut out some people from the business, they might do so. But from my perspective, the exciting business is to be a part of, the ones that want to grow. And usually the mindset of that type of business is, if we can be more efficient, if the people in our business are able to use tools better, we want more of those people, because we want to generate profit. We want to have impact in the world. And if our margins and our economics get better because every person can do 10x more, I want to hire more of that type of person. And then the work gets better, the company does better, and the people within that company are doing higher leverage, higher impact work. So I would hope that the response to that would be, hell yeah, let's do it. Like, I'm not scrolling through Facebook or Instagram on my computer all day. I'm not worried. And if you were doing that, then maybe that's the type of person who's going to kick their arms up, and it could be a good litmus test.
Yeah, I just reckon one of the things we went through last week was around that factory worker whose role was 18 lines of code. And I think if you're worried about getting automated, think about what you do all day and go, how many lines of code is in, how sophisticated is what I'm doing? And then I was thinking about it myself, like, what kind of decisions am I making? And then what kind of like mental models and what kind of experience is going into me making those decisions? And it made me think that one thing that would be hard to code would be influence. So, or just, or things like influence and distribution. So you can code someone putting something from one bucket into another, but what about the person that can get 100 people to act on their instruction? Do you know what I mean? That's like, it feels like that's more code. It's like you're doing something where you'd be forcing the computer to really almost blow up in terms of how much influence you have, because there's all these actions based on something you've said or an instruction you've given. So it just makes me think that if people are stuck in a repetitive little bubble and they're happy to stay in their space and just do these repetitive tasks, that feels to me automation time. But then if they can scale themselves, if you go to them, okay, you do this really well, how do we get you running 3 agents doing that? Because now you've scaled yourself 3 times, you've become more profitable, we pay you more. So if you want to stay in your own bubble, that feels like the way that you can scale yourself and stay important, managing agents. And then I think if I was thinking how to not get automated, my thing would be, how do I have more influence? How do I move the dial for the company and all the people within it, and go a bit more horizontal with what I get up to?
Yeah, it's a really good point. If you think about the terms that are not going to get automated, I think influence is one. I think respect is one. I think things like, we talked about, fashion before, presence. Are you the kind of person that can walk into a room and have presence? Or, as we see in some of the memes, aura? Those are the things that is going to be very human first, and probably are the kinds of things that people are going to work on more and more as a lot of this busy, repetitive work gets done by a new, call it species, that is a lot better trained at doing that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's leaning into those things that are not going to get automated.
I've just hired my first EA, and I posted on a business group like 2 months ago, saying, if anyone's got help with this search, and all the responses were, "Oh, Scotty, I thought you'd be the first person to just be doing it with tech and all that kind of stuff." And I was like, no, I actually need the soft skills as part of the culture in the office. Like we're lacking the softer skills, and I don't want to have to be the soft skills guy. Like I'm trying to run the business. Remembering
leave that for the squirrels.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not floating in a park with a bunch of, with Snow White and a bunch of squirrels. So in the office environment, I'm a bit firmer. But I just think that, I consciously knew that I needed someone that was going to be technically literate, that I could work on automating stuff with, but someone that was going to provide softer skills in the office. So, it's just interesting that as we're going through this revolution, that we're identifying what's human and like what are the skills that we value. So yeah, like we've said, always taste, decision making, influence. But then also I think there's still the opportunity where you go, okay, well, you're technical. So there's obviously use for you, you're technical. You don't have necessarily taste and influence. But if you're going to be technical, you need to be able to scale yourself. You need to be able to scale those repeatable skills.
And I think trust is another. Like, I don't see a world yet where we're fully going to trust an agent to literally do everything. Is the agent going to actually be approving large amounts of money that go out the door? Is the agent actually going to be going in having important conversations with clients that you respect? Like, I don't think those things are going to agents, at least in the near term. So if you're a person who can control a lot of these agents, you become really high leverage. And if you have the trust of the people around you, that's also something that I don't think is going to get automated. Trust.
Yeah, great. Fantastic. All right. Well, let's push on. I reckon we might get straight into the robot rundown now. All the big players are mentioned this week. And the first one is Jensen getting involved and Nvidia getting involved in a autonomous automobile company called Wavy. I haven't seen much about them, but the interesting thing is if Nvidia invests in you, it means that you go to the top of the line for where their compute gets delivered as well. And then he said it's going to be the next $1 trillion company. And I'm tipping if you want to get on now, you're probably going to be paying double to get involved, post Nvidia getting involved.
Yeah. Is this the UK company that just uses cameras and they've gone really minimal?
It's a great question. It does.
I'm just reading some comments
British.
now. I think it's a British company. So I did see a video about this, that they've gone more the Elon route than the Waymo route. They've just gone cameras, affordability. They don't need LiDAR. I think they've got a lot of on-car AI running. So, I don't know enough about this company to have comments on it, other than I agree with you that if Jensen's going there, it's got to mean something.
Well, so, I mean, Waymo's got a serious problem in terms of the costs to build a Waymo at the moment is $170,000. That can't last. I know they're getting rideshare for now, but how do they not become the MySpace of this? I think they're going to have to do a deal with like Toyota or something, where they just go, well, Toyota, you're with what Tesla's doing. So, but if we can get Waymo tech into an existing Toyota production line, then we're a chance.
Yeah. And it, when you think about the recent competition between the robo-taxi and Elon versus Waymo and the Uber CEO, again, this is going in the favor of what Elon saw and saying you need to make these things economical. And if we can do that with just cameras, then that's going to be the longer term better solution. And he is building the moat of the better model that can detect things from just cameras, so that you don't have a fixed cost ongoing. Because if Waymo has built their tech around having all these sensors and around having LiDAR, no matter how cheap the LiDAR gets, it still isn't going to be as cheap or as it's not going to be as intrusive. Sorry, it's going to be more intrusive than just having cameras on the car. So Elon's gone the long-term route, and it looks like Jensen is saying this company only uses cameras as well. That's the company I'm backing. So you might be right, Scotty, in saying that the Waymo model, they might be and maybe they should go and partner with another company like Toyota, who may also be so we should probably start swearing, but
yeah, they need to capitalize on the existing gain they've got, but they've got some issues on costs. And the one thing that's obviously Jensen's making clear is that he's going to be building compute that's going to be supporting camera, that's going to be supporting vision. So if Nvidia are going in that direction, Tesla's going in that direction, every year compute gets way better and cameras get way better. So you got some tailwinds there, and some lower costs. So very interesting space there. Speaking of Elon, the Boring Company just completed a pedestrian tunnel in Texas. I think it took them bugger all time, didn't cost much at all. They're using their new rig, which is a completely autonomous rig, and their goal is to have zero humans in the tunnel. So you just think about that around, tunneling projects that traditionally have costed $1 billion a kilometre. They're talking about it being, I think, 1% of that cost, and just how exciting this new era of logistics might be with the Boring Company.
Imagine the concept of just knowing that, like, at any one point in time, under you, there was some autonomous tunneling rig just building tunnels under the city and having lots of them all doing things. It's a pretty sort of interesting future to think of.
Yeah, and a really cool one. Just to think, this would be the highest impact saving, for instance, for us, or you'd say in somewhere like Victoria and Sydney, but also somewhere in like California. Like, they can't get anything done. They can't get any rail done. They can't get any projects done because of all this red tape and the costs of labor existing for tunneling. So I think and you've got all these traffic problems. So once again, I think he's just playing 4D chess here. This is a really exciting company, and I reckon people will be keeping an eye on it. I know that I think Robinhood are opening it up now, so you can start investing in secondaries and things in private companies. That would definitely be one that I'd be jumping on. Personally, looking forward. Next one I thought we would get into is, maybe we don't have much more time, so we might just having a think about, after the TBPM boys have jumped on the top 5, have you got any adjustments to last week's top 5? Now, not sure if we need to run through everyone's top 5. We will. So last week, you were Brett Adcock, Elon, Dario Amodi from Anthropic, Sir Demis Hassabis from Google, and Mira Murati with her research paper. You threw her in there for doing some homework. Have you got any changes? Any changes you want thrown around?
Yeah. So my drafting, I think you're gonna like it. I'm gonna get rid of my yarns and my mirrors and my researchers. I'm going back to the engineers. I'm with the way Jensen has conquered capitalism. He's coming back in. He's coming into the top. He's jumped them all. I'm with you that he's definitely the king. So I'm putting Jensen back into the top. I'm going to put Elon as second above Brett, and then I'm going to keep the rest the same. So a bit of a shift in my drafting for this week.
So as everyone knows, last week I coined the term Sir Jensenelon, which of course is a mix of Demis, Elon, and Jensen. They've now got a new nickname, the Holy Trinity. I think anyone who jumped on any of Scotty's stocks in the last 12 months is now just laughing their way to the bank, potentially thinking about leaving their job and just listening to this pod and taking massive bets at what I tell them to do. So I'm going to keep the Holy Trinity together. And then Larry Ellison's had one of the all-time great-grandpa fortnights in terms of where he's going. So I'm going to keep him there, but I'm just going to swap him and Sam. Now, I think the reason that Sam comes up is because I reckon in the next week or two, I've heard a rumor that Sam is putting together a bunch of features that are going to be released the next week or two that are only going to be available to $200 US a month subscribers.
Are you still paying that?
I'm paying, and Sam has been working in the background, because what he did last time was a disgrace, where he basically just leveled the playing field and democratized AI. That's not what we're here to do, Sam. That's not just thinking you want to be in the Emirates lounge. You want to be looking after the people that pay the money. So welcome back, Sam. You're going into 4 above Granddaddy and just below the Holy Trinity. So keep an eye out, everyone, over the next week for pro-level users of OpenAI to be, apparently we've got some features coming our way, so we can be AI snobs again, as opposed to just sitting in an economy with everyone else.
I love it. Well, I'll get the credit card prepared. I'll be jumping straight back on if we get something that the rest of the world doesn't.
But you're right, though. The real hack is always sticking to month, isn't it? Like, never sign up for an annual subscription.
Never pay
so
annual.
you can just pull your money off the table whenever you get cranky.
Yep, that's the power.
Very good. All right, well, mate, thanks for that. Thanks for a great show. Good luck back out there today for the rest of the day, and we'll catch you again next week.
Sounds good, Scotty. See you later.
Cheers.